Alrighty, hi everyone, and welcome to the very first live Q&A session that we have with some of the ladies here in the Feminine Macabre. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Feminine Macabre, even though I've been spamming you all in my little area of social media for the last month, the Feminine Macabre is an all-new, all-female paranormal journal. We are highlighting everything in the paranormal, from paranormal investigations and ghost stories to folklore and funeral rites, witchcraft, and tarot. If you can think of it and it's strange and unusual, we are covering it. So I'm super, super excited. I am Amanda. I am the owner of the website Spook-Eats and the crazy lady behind the Feminine Macabre that thought this was a good idea. But it turns out that it was. So we had over 100 submissions for volume 1. I did not expect that. So I'm very, very excited. We only were able to accept 30 submissions for volume 1. And we have 2 of them with us tonight. Tonight's especially fun because we have kind of 2 sides of the paranormal coin. We have the scientific end of things with a paranormal investigator. And then we also have the more spiritual end of things with a chaos magician. So it's going to be really cool. It's going to be a great conversation. If you have any questions for either of these ladies or for myself, feel free to put them in the comments. And yeah, we're going to have a good time. So up first is the lovely Sarah Stream. She is a paranormal investigator. She's an amazing photographer, a member of the Society for Cyclical Research, like myself, and a self-professed word nerd. I love it. So please welcome Sarah.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me on, Amanda.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on and being willing to be a guinea pig for the very first stream.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty. And then our second lady that we are highlighting tonight is, she's a chainmail artist, which I just think is the coolest thing. She is a tarot reader and a chaos magician, like I mentioned before. I hope I'm going to say her last name right. I was practicing backstage before, but please welcome Vanessa Walilko. I hope I said that right. Did I say it right?
I think you did. You did a great job. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I was going to say, I have Polish blood in me, so you'd think that I would be able to do that. So first of all, welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me and being part of the Feminine Macabre.
Absolutely.
Thanks for letting me be a part of it.
So, firstly, since you guys are, the very first ones to come on to the Q&A, I just want the potential readers and those who are watching to get an idea of who you ladies are, kind of like an origin story of sorts. So first, I'll go with Sarah, just to go from, I don't know, in my order that I see at least. So Sarah, can you just tell people a little bit about, your history, what got you into the paranormal, all that fun stuff?
Sure. So before I start that, I want to let everybody know I'm actually at a haunted location tonight. So it's kind of a fun thing for me to be going live to you from a haunted location. Just as a little tidbit, I'm on a Wi-Fi hotspot right now. So if I cut out, I'll jump right back on, I promise. But a little bit about me. I am a paranormal investigator from the Midwest. I live in Iowa. And I really got started in the paranormal, I think like a lot of people nowadays, just by watching the TV shows. It's always really interesting to me to see them go out to these locations. And I just love the aesthetic of haunted houses and, being able to learn the history and interact with whatever is there. And I had the opportunity to go on an investigation at the Axe murder house in Iowa with one of my really good friends. And I had an experience at my very first investigation, and I was addicted from then on. About a year after I started investigating, I picked up a camera and I started taking pictures of locations. And so that kind of morphed into me being an investigator and a photographer. And it's been an awesome journey so far.
Awesome. Fantastic. And one thing I would like to note is that you can get Sarah's photography and photographs, I should say. You sell calendars of these haunted locations,
I do,
right?
yeah. If I were at my house right now, I would show everybody a calendar, but I didn't bring any with me. But yes, I do have calendars of haunted locations that I've been to. So I'm really hopeful that I can get 12 more locations in this year for a new calendar next year. And if not, I have some awesome photos of some of the same locations. So
I was
should be
going to
fun.
say, it's already on my list. I already told my family. I was like, don't bother getting me another calendar. I want Sarah's haunted locations calendar for next year. So just don't even bother. So I love it. I think it's so cool that you do
That's
that.
awesome.
Alrighty. So then up next, we have Vanessa. So Vanessa, yours, at least for me, I am more on Sarah's end of things, where it's paranormal investigations and haunted locations, where you're more into what like I would like love to do and be. So tell us a little bit more about you.
Sure. So, it's funny. I've been obsessed with the paranormal for a pretty long time. Started reading about ghosts when I was 7 or 8 because I had seen a couple apparitions when I was younger. Then, of course, watched X-Files obsessively. Was interested in UFOs, but my interest has always lied on the more, I guess, spiritual, magical end of things. In high school, I started reading tarot for myself. That's when I really started doing like a deep dive into the occult and thinking more about about like the forces that are out there and what you can do to kind of interact with them. And of course, I like took kind of a detour for a while. So I made chainmail for a living, chainmail jewelry for about 7 years. It's still my business part time, but it's not the thing I do full time. And that sensibility, that witchy sensibility, has always kind of been there. I mean, even just in creating the business, chaos magic is all about making decisions, using your will, focusing your will, and acting on it. And that my chainmail business was absolutely me focusing my will and directing it towards a goal. It's results-based magic, which is why I call myself a magician and not necessarily a witch. Like, to me, a witch is like connected to the nature and cares about the moon phases and things like that. And I'm just like, no, I want to make a thing happen. What tools can I use to make that thing happen? What intention can I set? And thankfully you let me publish a piece all about it.
No, and I'm so happy to be able to do that, because when I first started this, I called it a paranormal journal. And at first everything was ghost stories and haunted locations, which is great. Obviously, it's what I love to do. But I was looking more for an expansion of the paranormal, what is normal. And so when you submitted that, it was absolutely fascinating to me. And I love why you call yourself a magician instead of a witch, because I noticed that right away. And even when I was writing like the introductions for you guys, I was like, she doesn't call herself a witch, so I have to make sure I call her a magician. So
Thank you.
I'm glad you explained why, because I was like, I wonder why. I'm going to ask her. So, so you beat me to it. And the chaos magic, I don't want to say concept, but just like chaos magic is something that I had never heard of before working on this. I know it's sad, but multiple people.
Not at all.
Thank you. Multiple people mentioned it in their submissions. So it was like one of those weird, like, I've never heard of this before, but now it's just like popping up and I can't unsee it. So
right,
it's kind
of, it's calling to you. Yeah.
Right. I just find it so interesting. So it's really cool.
Thank you.
So now that everyone knows you ladies, I would love it if you guys could kind of give a teaser for what you both have written for the Feminine Macabre. So don't give too much away, because what you both wrote was fabulous and very, very unique. But just to like whet the appetite of sorts. So Sarah, if you could just kind of explain kind of like what you wrote, why you wrote it, and all that fun stuff.
Sure. So as Amanda mentioned earlier, I am a self-professed word nerd. I love weird words. I used to be an anatomy teacher, and I taught pharmacology and just those really long, weird words that are fun to say. So I thought I would bring a little bit of that concept into this paranormal journal. My article is titled The Paralexicon. So a lexicon is a dictionary or a collection of words that's related to a specific topic. So I just picked a word, a paranormal related word, and I did some research on the history of it and what it meant and its origins and how that word has changed over history and how it's used today. And I learned a lot about the word. I don't know if you want me to tell what the word is, Amanda. I don't want to give too much away.
No, don't
okay,
say.
I won't tell.
I
will say, though, that while I was doing research on this particular word, I learned a lot about how the definition of that particular word has morphed over time. And the way we use it today is seen in a darker light, I guess, than what its original meaning was. So, even over the last 50 years, the meaning of that word has changed a lot. So it was really fun to write. I had a good time writing it.
No, and it's really interesting. And I think, just the concept of a paralexicon is so important because even in the piece that you wrote, you say, the importance of understanding a word is vital to kind of better understanding the field in general.
Absolutely. There are so many different meanings for words, even just on a regional cultural level. Like I'm from the Midwest and I work very closely with somebody who is British, and, I'll say something and it'll mean something totally different to him. So, making sure you understand the meaning and you're using it correctly when you're investigating or doing research is really important to be able to do legitimate research.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I really respect, the work that you're doing. Like when you said, like, you joined the Society for Cyclical Research, I was like, I just joined it too. And it's like one of those, we just lost Sarah. We'll blame the ghosts. But Sarah is one of those investigators that she's got a great head on her shoulders and not everything is a demon. It's really great to have her on there. Welcome back.
So sorry.
That's okay. We'll just blame the ghosts. It's fine. But I was just saying that I really respect your approach to the paranormal and that you've got a really good head on your shoulders. And, I think where so many people could see women as being, I've got a case of the vapors and stuff. When it comes to paranormal, investigations and haunted locations, you are calm, cool, and collected. And you really want to know more. And I just really respect that with the work that you're doing.
Thank you. I really do want to know more. And I don't know that we'll ever know enough. Questions lead to more questions.
Yep.
But you can't get answers without valid research. You can't, investigating is fun. Don't get me wrong. I have a blast. But you need to be able to systematically investigate. You need to be able to collect reliable information and then present that information in a way that makes sense to people to, validate your experiences.
No, absolutely. 100%. So fantastic. I loved this piece as soon as it came in. So I'm excited for others to read it and learn about this very, very common word. We're not going to say what it is. We're just teasing you right now. But it's a very helpful word to understand the true meaning of and not to confuse it with other words. So we'll just leave it at that.
It is.
Alrighty. So then, Vanessa, give the viewers and potential readers just kind of an idea of the piece that you submitted.
Sure. So I wrote a piece called Conjuring the Spirits of Possibility about tarot and chaos magic. And the piece kind of catalogs my journey with the tarot. First from a therapeutic perspective, and then from a magical perspective. So I don't think my approach to tarot is the kind of the typical approach. Partly because I'm an Aquarius and I don't do anything normally. I'm also a stubborn only child, so if somebody tells me that something is for something, I'm going to work to prove them wrong. That's just part of my nature. And the tool that tarot is for me. So one, chaos magic is about using your intuition, using your will, and for me, cutting through anxiety is the best way to access your will. You're trying to eliminate distractions, and so tarot as a therapeutic tool is incredibly useful because people don't ask questions that they're sure of. They ask questions that they're anxious about. So if you show people images on cards, what resonates with them is accessing information they already know. Chaos magic is one of those things too, where you're basically constantly using ideas as long as they're useful to you, and then you're discarding them for other ideas. So my beliefs, it might seem a little incongruous, but that's because like certain belief systems help me more effectively than others at particular given times. So one of the things that I generally believe in is the idea of a collective unconsciousness and accessing that and the power of accessing that. That's one aspect of tarot. The other is that I don't necessarily believe in fate, but I believe in possibility and I believe in probabilities. I love math. So let's look at the probabilities of a particular situation. What are the outcomes? What are the chances of any particular outcome occurring? Tarot can help you in that direction. If you develop a relationship with a deck with cards, and if anybody wants to develop a relationship with a tarot, I recommend. I mean, you're going to get more than one deck eventually, but pick one deck that you're really in love with, because the cards will start telling you meanings that are different than whatever you're going to read in a book. Certain cards mean very specific things to me, and when I see them, I I can suss out a situation very quickly. And so yeah, the piece gets into like, what are the things that you can do with tarot that are maybe outside of what you're used to thinking. Because you were saying earlier, like you were interested in chaos magic, you wanted to get into it. The beauty of chaos magic is that anybody can do it. It's like I said, it's a will-based practice. It's taking elements that have personal meaning to you and putting them together to form a belief system that will help your will and help achieve the goals that you want. I love it. I think it's incredibly accessible, and I think it's very powerful too.
No, absolutely. And, I feel like, as someone who is just starting out, reading tarot and kind of entering into that realm of things, it can feel very overwhelming and kind of like the sense that like you don't belong because you don't know enough, you don't understand enough. So I love that concept that you said, like with like you're taking these different facets and kind of forging it together to be what you need it to be.
Exactly. And you're touching on something that I feel very strongly about, and that gatekeeping, I like smashing gates, right? So if someone says like, well, you don't know enough, you haven't learned enough, like, well, according to who? Like, and just because you don't necessarily know something right now doesn't mean that you will never learn that at some point. Again, I have kind of a Gnostic sensibility. Like if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to do the research, if you're willing to do the learning, you can achieve what other people have achieved. So this idea that like, oh, you're not witchy enough, you're not like a third generation, whatever. It's like, no, chaos magic, baby. I just decided and things happen. And so can you. Just focus.
No, and I love it. And that's one of the things I really am hoping with the Feminine Macabre is that people will read it and not just learn from it, but be inspired by it. And I do feel like your piece is very inspirational.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was like, oh, I feel like I learned so much. I very much enjoyed it. So
thank you.
So Sarah, we're bouncing back and forth between, like the science and the spirituality. But I want to ask you now, I know we can't talk about where you are right now. I saw someone ask in the comments, we cannot disclose the location. But can I ask, I know it's hard to choose. Do you have a favorite location that you've been to?
I do have a favorite location. And if anybody out there is watching knows me from before, they know I'm going to say Malvern Manor in Iowa is my favorite location, hands down. It is like my home away from home. And for, gosh, a couple of years now, I just go hang out there when I have time. And just, I hang out in the attic. That's my happy place. So it's always active. I've learned so much. I'm really happy to be doing a long-term research experiment there. And we're excited for the possibilities.
That sounds awesome. That's a dream. Like to have a location that's kind of like your home base.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a paranormal investigator's dream.
It is. I'm very lucky that it's so close.
That's awesome. Alrighty. So I have one last kind of official question to ask you ladies. And again, if anyone is watching that has any questions for either Sarah or Vanessa, feel free to put them in the comments. We've gotten some nice comments, some conversation going. But if anyone has any specific questions, feel free to ask and we'll try to squeeze them in at the end of this. But my last question that I have for you guys is really important. At least for me, just to really kind of build up women in this community. And really, I know para-unity is like this pipe dream that, people debate whether it exists or not. But I'm trying to create a community of support with the Feminine Macabre. So I would love to ask you guys, what advice would you have for a woman who is thinking of starting out in the paranormal, whether it is investigations or tarot or a magical journey of sorts? What advice would you give to someone who is questioning things and really just considering kind of taking that final step into the unknown? Vanessa, we'll start with you.
Sure. Again, I'm an only child. I'm an Aquarius. I tend to do things. I tend to do things out of spite. So if somebody tells me I can't do something, oh boy, I'll show you. So my journey isn't necessarily typical. But if you're interested in tarot, if you're interested in magic, if you're interested in anything, seek out sources, independent sources, and then also do what you can to find people who are excited and who are open, because I stayed away from occult communities and paranormal communities for a very long time. I had all these interests and I just never kind of fit in anywhere because I felt like there was a lot of gatekeeping. I felt like there was a lot of either latent or active misogyny. And I just developed my own solitary practice. About a year ago, I discovered there were all these wonderful, encouraging people on Twitter, and I've become friends with several of these people, and it's incredible. Your community is out there, so don't get discouraged if you can't find your people right away, or if you feel like you're alone. You're not. The internet has connected so many people that you're bound to find somebody else who is open and curious in the way that you are. So again, don't lose hope. If you're feeling a little unsure right away, and just keep doing your study. Basically, find new books. Look at people who are doing other work. You might not become friends or colleagues with those people, but they might have friends or other people that you end up connecting with. Get resourceful and don't get discouraged.
No, I love that. It's like one of those, the internet can be a nasty place, but it can also be a beautiful place.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah. So awesome. And now, Sarah, what advice would you give to a lady thinking of starting out on the journey that you're now on?
Oh, gosh. Well, I think I should really echo what Vanessa said, and, don't let anybody tell you can't, because that doesn't help your situation. And, if you want to do it and you love to do it, then make it happen. I am a single mom. I have 3 kids. I work a full-time job. I have a professional career, and I still find the time and the funds and whatever I can do to make this happen, because it's something that I love to do and it calls to me. And that you'll run into barriers. There are haters out there, but just find your tribe and find those people that you trust and you can talk to about it. Even if it's not your family or it's not necessarily a traditional friend or colleague, there are those people out there that will support you. So lean on them and make it happen, because you can make it happen.
Oh, that's fantastic. So ladies, we are running out of time. So before we sign off, I would love it if you ladies could share your socials so people could follow you guys. So Sarah, where can people find you and follow you, which always sounds creepy, but
all those creepers out there on social
media. I
know. Okay, so you can find my personal Facebook page is Sarah Streamer, on Twitter and Instagram as Para Streamer. That's kind of a fun story. Somebody started calling me Streamer and it just stuck. So now it's my car license plates and this whole big thing. My photography page is Sarah Stream Photography. You can look that up on Facebook. And then my paranormal investigative team is Paranormania. So another big, long, fun word that I made up.
It's the way to do it, though. Come on.
It is, yeah.
Alrighty. And Vanessa, where can people find you?
Sure. So most of my social handles are my business name. So on Instagram, it's Kali, Kali _butterfly. And on Twitter, it's just one word, Kali butterfly. Twitter, if you want to see my political rants, that's the place to go. Instagram is the place to go if you want to see weird pajamas that I make, or chainmail, or sometimes my plants and the mushrooms that I grow. So.
Say it's a nice variety. We have to talk chainmail sometime. I love it.
Anytime.
I love it. It's so cool. So we are just about out of time. Ladies, thank you so much. First of all, for taking a chance and being part of this project, and then taking an even bigger chance and being part of this live stream.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Again, this would be nothing without you ladies. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say it enough. Alrighty, guys. So thank you so much for everyone that has tuned in tonight for our very first live Q&A for all the women in the Feminine Macabre. Volume 1 is coming out, as it says along the ticker at the bottom, this Monday. This Monday is International Women's Day, and my goal originally was to have this out and ready in time for that. So fingers crossed, as long as the printing process doesn't take too long, it should be out this Monday. I actually have the proof copy right here, but I won't show you that for too long. Final edits are happening right now, so I'm so excited to show it to you guys. If you are interested in writing for Volume 2, which is coming out August 2021, you can head to Spook-Eats.com/Feminine Macabre. All the information is there for you, and that is also where you'll be able to find copies of Volume 1 this Monday, March 8th, 2021. Hopefully everything goes according to plan and that works out. But again, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow. Same time, same place, with Sharice Williams and Alex Masudo. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be, again, another science science along with spirituality. So thank you so much, everyone who tuned in. We appreciate the love and support, and we will see you guys tomorrow. So have a good night, everyone.